Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and Prez. In this episode 482, I am joined, as always, by my co-host, that is at _President on Twitter. I don't know why I skipped the part where I call you Prez. Prez, how you doing?
Because I need no introduction, obviously. I'm doing
That must be
great.
it.
I am that is exactly it. I am contemplating seeing the Westchester Knicks versus the Capital City Go-Go tonight. And I gotta make a decision soon because apparently it's a hot ticket, which shouldn't surprise me given the number of Knicks fans here. So to spend
Everybody's
$20 or not to spend $20, that is the question.
well, it's not really $20, right? Because it's like $20 plus like grab a couple beers before, grab a couple of beers during. It's like
Yeah,
an $80 excursion, you know.
yeah, but 20 gets you pretty good seats. It's way cheaper than I mean, they're the lowest of the low in DC, right? Like the Mystics are now expensive, so the Go-Go are basically like for free to get in and then pay for beer and stuff, like you said.
Yeah, and plus we I think everybody really is looking forward to seeing your up close and personal shot diagnosis of Pacome Dadier. So it might be an investment you have to make.
Business expense.
Yep, there you go. Just send it up to Alex. Send the receipt to Alex. All right. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Knicks, the big Knicks, the actual Knicks. But before we do that, I do have to make a few announcements. First, being that Strickland has a YouTube channel where you may watch this podcast. If you are not done so already, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment. That'd be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merchandise, which you can find on our website at www.strick.land. There's a link to take to the merchandise store. And there's all kinds of cool stuff on there, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it, we've got it. The Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier that gets you access to Strickland's podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to Takes from Memphis Bozo's podcast hosted by Andrew Steele, aka Doug, along with Zach Platter, and you get access to the Strickland Discord with the conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland All My Solo Powder by Ryan Rand with Thanksgiving more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matthew Miranda, one of the best in the business, and you get access to Strickland NFL, which you guessed it is a podcast hosted about the NFL that is hosted by Constantine Metricos and Desmond Novak. There are further tiers. There's $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and $100 tier. That's going to a variety of additional benefits, like listening in on pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially co-hosting podcasts alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe or not. None of this would be possible without you. And none of this would be possible without BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for betting on all the madness, even if your bracket is busted. BetOnline has way more ways to stay in on the action with a free Sweet 16 bracket and live betting on every remaining tournament game. With the largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball to MLB, NHL, and MMA, BetOnline continues to be your number one source sports betting source. From every Cinderella story to every hat trick, BetOnline is you covered with the odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Yeah, so the Knicks, they played Milwaukee last night. They won 116-107. Honestly, they were up. Milwaukee had a garbage time 3. They had a couple of garbage time shots. The Knicks won basically by 15 points. It was a good win. Like I don't think that there's a ton to be taken away from this game just because it's a weird game. Like the Knicks don't. I mean, they're down Brunson, Deuce, and Campaign. The Bucks are down Damian Lillard, who may just be out for the year. We really have no idea right now. And Bobby Portis is still out. I'm not sure. Again, like I know that the conversation before the game was like, why the fuck are they starting Dylan Wright over Tyler Kolek? I would have started Tyler Kolek. I also think like inevitably you're gonna get weird fucking lineups in this game because of the Knicks' personnel situation. And yeah, like would it have been nice to see more of Kolek? Yeah, I think so. End of the day, like I think you probably saw enough from him. Like I don't know that you learn more from him if he plays 25 minutes than the 17, 18 minutes that he did play. I'm not sure you learn more from him as a starter than you did from him off the bench. It kind of just strengthened what I think he is. What I do find frustrating, and I'll just never get this with Tibbs, is like his weird predilection for like, I'd rather keep this guy in this role that I like and play this guy who has never played this role for me, anyways. I'm gonna have him start, so I don't have to change these other things. I'll never get that, and I think in a game like this, it probably doesn't matter. And honestly, in a game like this, it might have been a benefit, but you're not gonna get games like this when they matter, and that's always the weird thing with him. And I just never, I'll never get it. I'll never understand why we started Jericho Sims over Isaiah Hartenstein for a period last year. Like I'll never understand. We don't need to go back to 2021, 22. God knows all the countless weird decisions that were made that season. But either way, look, the Knicks get the win, and I think that's the biggest takeaway. And then the other takeaway is obviously, look, again, would it have been nice for Tyler Kolek to play more? Sure. But I think, we've had him now play. He's been back in the rotation for what? About 3 games, is it? Is it 3 games? I think it's 3 games. And he's looked good. Like he's looked confident. I think that, or not confident. Confidence probably the wrong word to use. I think he looks confident running the offense. I don't think he looks confident when he's kind of in a situation where he has to look to put the ball on the deck, and not just put the ball on the deck, but look to score. That's obviously the biggest hurdle for him offensively. It seems like he struggles with ball pressure at times. And the funny thing about this though is I actually don't think it's about the ball pressure. I think it's more that his weak hand, his right hand he's not confident with that. He's not strong with the handle there. So he has to be very methodical about how he brings it up. But I never really worry that much about like, he's about to get stripped here. Like, I don't think that's a huge concern with him, but he does need to get stronger with his weak hand, especially against ball pressure. And then look, like defensively, there's, it's obvious that he's never going to be some insane, like awesome lockdown defender. And yeah, there's always going to be situations where he's a minus. And overall, like, if you just really look at it, sure, he's a minus defender. But what I think is good about him is in the ways that he's a minus defender, he's not a minus defender in a way that is destructive to the team defense. I actually think he's quite a smart team defensive player. I think he missed 1 rotation yesterday. And Cat actually covered for him. It was like, I think it might have been AJ Green got loose, or maybe Gary Trent Jr. I don't remember which one. One of the guys that can shoot on their team. And he lost him, and Cat actually went out and contested, and he missed it. So good job, Cat. But for the most part, like when I'm watching him on defense, his issues are all physical and athletic. They're not anything to do with his reading of the game, his understanding of, what his role is, what his job is on any given play. And to me, like, that's fine. Like, I can work with, I actually think that's a positive. Like, there are plenty of guys in the NBA that are not plus defenders. But what you really want, obviously, 1, they have to give you enough value offensively where that trade-off is worth it. But 2, you're just asking them, like, hey, like, we can figure out, like, your own bullshit, but what we can't do is, like, for you to just zone out, not know what you're doing, lose your man, like, lose, like, track of space. And honestly, like, in some ways, it's kind of funny because, obviously nobody in their right mind is going to be like Tyler Kolek's, a better defender than Josh Hart. He's not a better defender than Josh Hart. But there's like, you can kind of sense that value of he's not going to fuck up in the dumbest ways possible, that you can't really, like, I don't know. I guess not for us anyway. I'm sure that nerds that work in front offices do this stuff.
His mistakes are because of his physical abilities, not because of him not knowing where to go. You can see him pre-rotating faster than basically everybody on the team.
Yeah.
Like, he reads the game. You can tell this is true, like, from his passing alone, but even beyond that, you can tell he's just kind of an encyclopedia. Like, to your earlier point about, like, the ball pressure, I think you're right. Like, he has basically, like, one plan to deal with ball pressure, and it works 99% of the time, which is, like, go up the right side of the court and then spin back to the left side of the court, because that's a strong hand. But, like, the main reason Ryan Rollins was able to, like, hump him all the way up the court was because most of the time Tibbs was calling out plays, and the plays weren't high pick and roll for Tyler Kolek, so he had to both wait for the other guys to do what they were supposed to do while defending Ryan Reynolds dry humping him. I mean, not Ryan Reynolds, Ryan
Right. I
Rollins.
mean, maybe Deadpool too.
Maybe.
That
Yeah.
hurts.
Who knows? Who knows what Marvel is doing these days? Ryan Rollins, and then half the time on those call out plays, Tyler Kolek had to defend the ball and also tell the other Knicks where the fuck they were supposed to be. Like, like 50 feet away, he'd call out the play, and then he'd be like, "No, Cat, you go over here. Mikal, you go over." Like he was like the other vets were just like, "Huh, what?" Like he was speeding up their organization for Tibbs. Um, so I think that kind of exacerbated it. I think if my gut is it if it was a little less structure and a little bit like, all right, the high pick and roll and kind of see what happens, then he would have more freedom to just like go up the court really fast, kind of like Deuce does, and then immediately just like lose his man by getting Cat to run into him, basically. Which gets me to my larger point, which is like I didn't really have a huge problem with like Delon had a great first quarter, good for him. I've always been a huge Delon fan. He was on the Wizards when they sucked, and it was like the only player playing defense when I went to games, so I have a appreciation for him. And he was doing play finisher stuff in the first quarter that he didn't do for the rest of the game. And whatever, that's fine. But like if like Tyler Kolek had a bigger impact on winning, and that's because he just does more as far as play finishing from the exterior and just like setting guys up or whatever. And I think that like if you wanted to win more easily, you should have played Tyler more. But okay, you wanted to go to your starting lineup, fine. My bigger issue, which is less about this game versus the Bucks, which you didn't need an A+ coaching game from Tibbs to win, right? Like they're pretty banged up.
And it's
Um,
Doc.
and it's Doc. So you're not getting the A+ coaching game on the other end. But it's more about like information. So like we've had 3 games of Tyler Kolek getting minutes, and most of those games there have been pretty dramatic for Tibbs adjustments on how to cover for him on defense. Less so versus this Bucks team, but major big time versus the Clippers, where like Tibbs basically said, "We're not even gonna see how Tyler Kolek holds up. We're gonna just hedge and recover and assume he's gonna get cooked if he gets on an island with these guys who are really good ISO scorers," which is a very good assumption. But like in general, that sort of protection of him has carried on in the other games, and it's not a surprise, right? Because that's how Tibbs treats Jalen Brunson as well. He doesn't even wait to see if Jalen Brunson can hang on an ISO here or there. He just assumes it's a death knell, and his main goal is to avoid it from the get go. It's not it's not like cat and drop where it's like, let's see how it goes for a quarter or two, and then we'll switch if we have to. For some reason, even though they're both instances of players getting cooked and causing us to hemorrhage teams, he treats these situations differently. So on defense, we haven't really seen the extent to which Tyler can hang, which is, the answer. You probably know the answer, but you probably should use games that arguably don't matter to find out more information on defense. And this is true even more on offense to me. Like, you clearly see right now that Tyler Kolek as a vessel for Tibbs play calling is good. He executes the fuck out of these things. He knows where to make everybody go. He needs to shoot more, especially when in secondary actions. But in general, as a play finisher, you can rely on him to hit threes, and he's gonna get guys in rhythm for shooting, especially Bridges and Cat. What you don't know is what can he do in a pick and roll when he has a chance to freelance a little bit and manipulate defenses as a passer, which is kind of annoying to me because Deuce actually gets those opportunities now to pick and roll, even though he's not a threat at the rim. Tibbs trusts Cat to, when Brunson's injured, to at least just run some pick and rolls and kind of see what happens. And perhaps, Deuce has, he's been here a while, so he's gotten that trust from Tibbs. He's in the circle of trust.
Yeah.
But it's a little sad that this guy is a pick and roll maestro, and we haven't really gathered enough. We know enough to say he's a passable backup point guard, but we still haven't really explored his biggest strength to me. So in that sense, I don't care quite as much about like, oh, like is he playing? What's his minutes versus Delon? I'm just like, no, I want to see like what happens when you actually let him run some pick and rolls. Just a little bit. Again, like it doesn't have to be one extreme or the other, like Tibbs often does, but like you can let him freelance a little bit. So that was my like main issue with the Kolek, Delon, Tibbs stuff. And it was funny because I was watching in fucking the the virtual reality meta shit, and which is very cool by the way, but like it was also paired with the Bucks broadcast announcers, but you can also hear like some of the courtside stuff. So you could hear Tibbs barking out the plays and then Kolek like repeating them. And then in my other ear, you would have the Bucks announcers who were just like having a Tyler Kolek love fest for like the whole game, basically. Like the prodigal son returns. And even they were like, oh, like he's I guess Wright is coming back in now. Like they were like, okay, like in the fourth quarter. So it was weird in that sense. And this is ultimately like none of this is about the Bucks game, like you said. This is just like you're talking long-term team planning here. So it's less about like winning this game or losing this game or winning by 15 or winning by 10.
Yeah. Like it doesn't matter if that's not really. Yeah, it has nothing to do with like winning this game or whatever. You just want to see him get more of an opportunity to show what he can do so that it can inform maybe their decision making. Maybe they already know what they're going to do, right? Like that's the counter that people always throw you. Well, yeah, but maybe they already know. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. I just find it pretty ridiculous to like constantly have to assume this stuff, and quite honestly, I don't buy that. Like I just don't buy that they can be like, well, we've seen it in practice, that's good enough. Like how can you say that? Like if you don't, no team operates like that. No team is like, well, we don't need to see it in game actually because we believe in this guy so much and we've seen it in practice and therefore it doesn't matter. Like that's just nonsense and it doesn't make any sense. So I don't buy that line of thinking or line of reasoning rather, though many people will use it. I do think the Knicks are good at self scouting. So if they project more from Kolek moving forward, that would be not surprising at all. I actually expect that to be the case. Um, and yeah, look, I don't want to make this a whole like, oh my god, like we need more Tyler Kolek thing, because I've largely understood why he hasn't played this season. But to me, there's just like it's very hard for me to believe that most other coaches wouldn't have at least thrown him into the mix a few times throughout the course of the season. And I'm not talking about like, well, he gave him a shot in November. Like, yeah, he gave him a shot in November, and I'm still not quite sure what he did to like
No,
be
no.
re-
What the Knicks do is not normal. Like, I don't need anybody else in the fucking Knicks universe to gaslight Knicks fans about this. Like, the idea that other coaches, that Tibbs just giving depth guys random run throughout the season, particularly in games versus worse teams or on back to backs or whatever. The idea that it's something that like the Spolstras and Tyron Lue and literally every other coach, whether they're newer or older, like that happens. That happens. That's a thing that everybody does for the most part, except a few guys. Even fucking Rick Carlisle, who is like hates rookies with a passion, has fucking thrown Jairus Walker out a couple of times randomly before sitting him for like weeks on end. So like,
I mean,
and Jairus Walker's a teenager.
he played
Like,
Ben Shepherd last year, who was a rookie
yeah,
in the
yeah. So
playoffs. Like,
yeah,
so
so like if it's like, oh, like respect Tibbs because he knows what he's doing and he's a coach who's like been through the ringer, whatever. Like, okay, what about
you
Rick
can.
Carlisle? What about Rick Carlisle? What about Eric Spoelstra?
It's
All these guys do the same shit
it's also like
except Tibbs.
you can respect the coach and question his decisions. Like, this is not like
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I know that Donald Trump's
maybe
our
look at the
president.
other coaches who's
Like,
also
yeah,
deserve
like
respect.
I know Donald Trump's our president now, so we just have to like accept that we live in an authoritarian world. But like, no, I think it's okay to just be like, look, I like this is not this isn't actually entirely separate from it. Should the Knicks keep Tibbs or should they move on from Tibbs? I can like anybody. If you think Tibbs is a bad coach, you're wrong. He's a good coach. So if you like, so with the understanding he's a good coach, like every other coach in the history of basketball, doesn't matter who they are, fucking Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, Popovich, name the great coaches. Like all of them, they all have weird things, their own quirks that are not perfect. And like in anything in the world, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to get every single decision right. So it's okay and valuable. Not that Tibbs is listening to us, but it's actually okay for people to question, individual decisions. And those individual decisions, how we feel about them, obviously inform how we feel about a person or a head coach in this instance in the macro. But like, leaving that aside, what I will say to Tibbs' credit is whatever weirdness goes on with like how he distributes minutes, especially with regards to rookies and young players. Like I also I will also consistently go to bat for the idea of I reject the notion that like because he doesn't play guys a lot early on that they are somehow like inherently capped and it ruins their development, because it's just never been borne out to be true. Like Jimmy Butler didn't play his rookie year basically, and then he went on to be a fucking all-star. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
it's not about
yeah.
developing Tyler Kolek or Emmanuel quickly
No,
or
I'm not
Deuce
saying
McBride. Like, no,
I'm
I'm
not
agreeing
saying
with you.
yeah. I'm not saying you were saying that, but it's like I
Yeah,
see that
yeah.
argument all the time too, where I'm like people are like he's a bad development coach, and I'm like that just doesn't hold up at all. Like
No,
that
these guys
doesn't hold up at
almost
all.
always come out the end of the tunnel like as real hoopers, whether it's on the Knicks or somewhere else. It's just a matter of like, can we take advantage of that to help us?
Yeah.
Like,